Hey y'all. Now y'all can hear me. It's Ashley Nicole with the Practical Life, and I am here on a late live because I had to come and talk about this interview. I'm gonna get right into it because it's late. I can't even believe I'm still up. But I was scrolling through YouTube and I saw Tasha K's interview with Jessica Reid. Now I'm gonna start this video off with saying that, or this live off with saying that I'm not looking for any views or whatever, because she indicated in at the beginning that everybody's trying to tell her story, and that is not the purpose of this video and this live is about what we can learn from Jessica's story. Because and the reason why I'm late is because I wanted to hear the ending of that interview with her, and just to hear how she's doing now and what she's going to be doing to move forward. So that's why I'm late for the live. But as a therapist, I had to come and talk about this because her story is very, very, very common, and we'll get into it. Y'all, I got a lot of notes. Um My notes are all over the place. Y'all know I take notes on everything. My notes are all over the place, but we're going to go ahead and get into it with some of the things that I feel like are common in our community, in the Black community, as far as this goes on, and maybe other communities as well. Um, and some of the things that we got to do better, right? We got to do better in some of these areas. um I also want to say that this woman is traumatized, y'all. Like, she really is traumatized. um she has been through a lot. And I had seen her documentary before, but it wasn't to the extent of this, right? I saw that documentary, but it wasn't anything like this. And so y'all can say, not even y'all, we can say what we want to about Tasha K, baby, but Tasha K, now the only thing, because the good thing about this is that this lady is able to tell her story, and other people who have been through the same thing are now, some of them may be empowered by what she has went through, right? And empowered to come forward, or empowered to get help and things like that. The only thing, the thing that I want, especially big platforms, right? When you are interviewing or speaking to someone that has gone through a lot of trauma, and you open up this door where they're talking about these different things, they're really kind of reliving everything that happened to them, the steps, all this stuff and what happened, and just going through each little thing and what led up to it, right? Once you open that box, you've got to have the knowledge and expertise, right, to know how to close it properly. It is not safe to open that box and have them talk about all of this stuff, and then at the end of the interview they're left open with it, right? And that's why it's so important to seek therapy and to have a therapist, right? So maybe, some of these bigger platforms can have a therapist, on hand, or a resource. And maybe, Tasha K probably does, because she's been doing a lot of those types of interviews lately, right? To where it's someone that they could call, or maybe they have an appointment set up for the next week or something, because you've got to close that box appropriately and properly. Because if not, they are still thinking about all that stuff that they talked about in their interview with you. So that is the only thing, that kind of that worries me, as a therapist, about these types of interviews where all of this stuff is being discussed, but there is no licensed person or a professional there to kind of close that box, right? But nevertheless, this interview was important because her story is very, very common, y'all. And like I said, I took a lot of notes. My notes are all over the place, but I had to come and talk about this. So, closer to the end of the interview, I'm going to talk about that first because it's fresh on my mind. She was talking about when she had to go, to the hospital and do the RAPE kit, right? I will tell you why. When I was in college, I did an internship. And I always knew I wanted to do something, in the mental health field and psychology and things like that. So I did an internship working with RAPE victims, right? And my internship included me going to the local hospital. I would be on call and I would have to go to the local hospital to meet victims there that had reported, RAPE, and I would have to kind of be that support person there when they did the kit, when the doctors or the nurses did the kit. And I will tell you guys from that, experience in that internship, it takes a lot for a victim to go to do that kit because like she said, it was like a cold experience. Because I mean, you got to think about it. Nurses and doctors, they see this stuff every day, right? And not that they don't empathize, but it's like a routine, right? This particular situation, this particular person comes in, they report this is what we do, right? So they're kind of going through the motions. They're not there as far as, okay, well, how are you feeling? Do you need to speak with someone? Would you like something to eat? Would you, are you ready to do the kit right now? Do you need to wait a few minutes? They're not asking those questions. So I was kind of the advocate for the person and kind of making sure that they got what they needed. But that process is a cold process, guys, especially after going through what they've reported. And now someone else has to gather evidence. Can you imagine? Right? So I completely knew what she was talking about when she was saying that when she was having to go do the kit. Then what struck me was that I think she said this towards the end too, that her neighbor was the only one who comforted her after that happened. Like, that is sad. Like, your mom didn't comfort you, your friend that was with you, your brother. And this video is make sure, I put a disclaimer, it's fair use. All information is for education and teaching purposes. I want to make sure I get that out there. And some of the things I may talk about may be alleged. So I just want to get that out there as well before I forget. But it was indicated that, her mom didn't really support her. Her friend that was with her, they didn't really talk about it. Her brother, didn't really talk about what happened with her. She just went to her room and stayed there for days. And sometimes the mom came in there to say, okay, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, but she really wasn't okay. Right. So that made me sad, to know that a 15-year-old, this happened when she was 15, didn't feel like she had support. Like, this could have went a whole nother way. Luckily, this woman is sitting here today, y'all. Like, straight up. So let's kind of go back to the beginning. So her family, she said she remembered her family being a great family. They had get-togethers, all this stuff. When she was little, up until the age of 5. So at 5 years old, she reported that her, some inappropriate things happened with her god brother. There was some inappropriate touching, and she said that he was a teenager, so he was telling her things like, well, you have to do it, right? And the first thing that came to my mind was that somebody was violating him, right? Because in a teenager's mind or a young kid's mind, to say things like that, the way that they say it, right, is something that someone else has said to them. And they think that it's normal, right? And so her first time being violated was by her god brother, right? And they lived in New York. And so she said she told her mom, she didn't tell her mom until she saw America's Most Wanted on TV. Shoot, thank goodness for America's Most Wanted, because the mama probably would have never known. Um, she saw a reenactment. You know how they used to do them reenactments on America's Most Wanted, or sometimes you all remember they show unsolved mysteries and stuff like that. They do the reenactments, and she saw a little girl being inappropriately touched on a reenactment. So that's when she told her mom what happened to her, right? And she said the mom cried and everything, but nothing happened. She didn't contact her godmother, or anything. And I'm like, okay, something. That's when I started thinking like something else is going on here, right? But she didn't know that it was wrong until she saw that on TV. Now, she didn't get therapy or anything like that. And that's common in our community. Like things like that happen. We may have even known, like, especially sometimes the older generation, they'll say, I mean, the uncle could be living in the house with you and they'll be like, oh, don't go upstairs to Uncle such and such, because they know he is inappropriate, right? And instead of them getting the child or children away from the person, right? It's like just don't go near them. Almost like it's on you to not do something so that they won't bother you. When y'all need to get the dude out of the house. Like, why is he even here? Um, so so she didn't get therapy or anything like that. But her mom, of course, I figured that her mom had her own trauma too. That her dad died when she was 5. This was Jessica. The dad died from AIDS. And the mom had to take care of him. And the mom had been violated as a child as well. So that tells you right there that the mom was dealing with her own trauma. The mom, especially if Jessica says that before her dad died, they had a really good household. The mom was a stay-at-home mom, right? So she probably was spending a lot of time with them and things like that. And then all of a sudden the dad dies, and then life has to shift. They had to pivot, right, to a different city, and mom had to figure it out now, right? Because she has siblings. Mom had to figure it out, figure out a way to pay the bills and things like that. She didn't have dad support anymore. So in turn, the attention to the children had been, decreased a little bit, because she had to make sure that she took care of the family financially. And this happens all the time. And like Jessica said, she said, now she realizes that mom had to take care of the house. But when she was 15, she wasn't thinking that. All she was thinking was, I need my mom. I need her attention. I need her to spend time with me, quality time and things like that. I need things to be like they used to be. I need my mom. Like I said in the video about Tim, they don't care. Kids don't care nothing about parents having to make no money. They don't care that you gotta pay the bills. They don't understand that in their mind, you are their mom and dad. So it's like, I don't care about that part. I need you to spend time with me, and I want the time with you, right? So mom, her focus was not really probably on the kids as much as it was before, right? And it's a sad situation, and that's where too I feel like um where they say, it takes a village. It really, really does. But shoot, nowadays you can't even trust the village, because part of the village was the godmama, the god brother, right? You can't even trust them, right? Your child's scared to go down the hall. So it's kind of like, what do you do when you don't have support? You know what I mean? So the mom, I can see that the mom was struggling, right? With the fact that the way Jessica reported, this is allegedly, that her dad was a heroin addict, and that's how he contracted AIDS, right, or HIV, right? But the the mom probably had some feelings about that too. And then in turn, she had to take care of him before he passed. Like, and then you leaving me with all of these kids that I got to take care of. Like, the mom was dealing with her own trauma. So when you have kids, this is a clear example. If you haven't dealt with your own trauma, you're not going to be able to take care of them kids appropriately, because they going 9 times out of 10, especially nowadays, they're going to go through something, and you're not going to be able to be there for them fully, right? Be there for them fully because you have not dealt with your own stuff. How it's almost like, how can you help somebody else when you haven't even helped yourself? So this was a sad story, y'all. And then what really got me was when she started talking about her dad. If anybody know, now again, this could be in all communities. I'm talking about my people, my people. I don't care what your daddy did. Your daddy could have he could have been messing with 10,000 women. He might have had 10 kids after you. Who cares? That is your dad, and nobody bet not say nothing about my daddy. I don't care what he did. That's my daddy. Like, even my husband, he'll tell me, he'll be like, why do you say my daddy? Because that's my daddy. Like, I have, siblings or whatever, but that's my daddy. Like, as a little girl, you still, like, your dad is everything to you. For those who have their dad, who have had, you know, the privilege of having their dads in their life, you know what I'm talking about. As a woman, as a girl, your dad is everything. I still call my dad now if I want to do something. I'm like, um my dad, he barbecues all the time. He's like a barbecue connoisseur. Anytime I even think about some barbecue, I'm like, that ain't my daddy barbecue. Like, I call my dad, I'm cooking this because my dad loves to cook, right? He has a garden and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, dad, what do I put in this? And what it's a special relationship. And again, you don't care what he did, what he didn't do, that is still your dad, and you have a special relationship with him. So when she started talking about her dad and how she just remembers her dad's funeral and how he was laying there and she was just thinking that she's never going to see him again, y'all, that took me out. That took me out. Like, it seems like her world fell apart once she lost her dad. Like, imagine how much different her life probably would have been if her dad was still here. Like, for real. What kind of guidance would she have gotten? Not that the mom is not important. The mom is definitely important, but it's just it's different things that your dad teaches you, and it's a different way that your dad guides you. In my opinion, you see life differently. You make decisions differently if you have your dad in your life to kind of guide and teach you. So especially a black dad, right? So how much different would her life would have been if her dad was here, y'all? Or if her mom would have kept that same attention on her after the dad passed. To- I I can see that it'd probably be totally different, right? We may not have even been seeing this interview. You never know. Um, so yeah, so nothing happened when it happened with her god brother, right? So she says that after, now this is what I didn't understand. And this is how I knew the mom had some trauma too. After this allegedly happened with Charlotte, right? Her mom sent her back to New York to visit the uncle, like to get her away from everything, and told her to visit the godmother, that same godmother with the son that violated her when she was 5. Girl, I'm like, Tasha, girl, you lying. It ain't no way. And what got me was, like, I just don't understand it. This is why it's so common, y'all. This is what we do. Like, what I really be trying to think about what be going on in mom's head, like for real. Like I'm about to get St. Louis for real. What be going on in in y'all head? Like I don't get it. What made you think like okay, go visit your first of all, I wouldn't send my kid to visit nobody because she vulnerable right now. All the way to New York for what? No, I'm her mom. I'm here to figure out how to help her get through this situation. But instead, you sent her to New York and then you gonna add on for her to see the godmother. Like this is how I know that the mom either because I'm not gonna say that the mom didn't care about what was going on or didn't think that what happened. I'm gonna say that she didn't know how to deal with it, and maybe because sometimes too, that's what we do. We say, okay, well, let me call your uncle and see, talk to the uncle about it. And the uncle say, okay, well, send her up here for a few weeks and we'll look after her, because we think that's the right thing to do. I have to say the mom probably didn't know how to deal with it, especially again because then the mom went to her own situation and she didn't deal with her own situation. So how did she know how to deal with hers? Right? And again, as a 15-year-old, you don't understand that. You don't understand, okay, well, my mom went through this, so she don't really know. So, okay, I'm gonna go, do visit my uncle, whatever. You thinking, mama, why you sending me somewhere like this just happened to me? Like I need to be here with my mama. But she told her to go visit the godmother while she was there, girl. And she went. Girl, I would have never went to that lady house. If it was one of that lady house and she would have opened that door, I would have told her what son did. Right? And y'all think that nowadays this is not happening where now people trying to figure it out and they calling the police. No, they ain't. This stuff is swept under the rug, baby, and don't nobody say nothing about it ever. They just say, "Oh, well, don't go over Uncle such and such house, or don't go upstairs and Uncle don't bother them. I take the food up there or whatever. Don't sit by Uncle because he be." No, y'all got to start speaking up about this stuff. Call these people out. This is ridiculous. People are being traumatized. So now what she didn't get as a child from her mom, because you can see from her crying, from her reacting to those questions and things like that, she is still it's this is like this just happened yesterday, right? And she has got to get some help to learn how to cope with everything that has happened to her, not just that one thing. Because I feel like that one thing that that she alleged that happened is with Charlotte was just something else that got put on top of the cake. Like it was just something in addition to everything else that she had never dealt with. So now it's like more trauma. This lady is so traumatized, y'all. And I really hope that she gets the help that she really needs and that she heals from all of this. I really felt for her, during this interview and was just and I could tell that Tasha too, she's like, oh my God, I didn't know she was gonna say all of this. Like, and it's crazy because you don't know. Okay, when you look at it, it's like this is social media. And strange stuff happen on the internet, y'all. I just don't think that this lady, I just don't think that this is something made up. Like, why? She just a regular person, um, that is alleging that something happened to her. Like it don't seem like she's out for any clout or she wants to let everybody know like this person is not who y'all think he is, right? But I'm not even gonna speak on all of that. Honey, she got the documents to tell you what it really is. I mean, they read it. So Think what you want to think about that. So I'm just here to talk about what we can learn as far as, mental health and things like that. So yeah, so I'm thinking that her mom didn't know what to do in this situation. Now, when she alleged that happened, the mom did call the police. Now she called the police, but I didn't get why she said when you go visit your uncle, make sure you go down there to see your godmama. For what? Don't you remember when your baby told you that what happened to her? Girl, I don't get it. I don't get it. Um, so yeah, so at that point, when the mom sent her to New York to telling her, oh, make sure you visit your grandma, your godmother, she was being re-victimized. She went to see the godmother. Godmama opened the door, invited her in, because I guess the godmom never even knew what happened. Invited her in, gave her a big hug, this is her goddaughter, and she sat down and she saw pictures of the godbrother everywhere. Girl, it ain't no way. It ain't no way. You just think about anybody that has children. I don't know. I don't know if it's moms that are more special than others. I don't know, but my heart could not even take imagining my baby girl being in a situation like that. Like, how could I put her in a situation like that? She is a child, and I don't care how old your kids are. Like, for me, in my opinion, it's like, they grow up and stuff like that, but you got a daughter or a son, it's like, that's my baby girl. 15 years old, that's still my baby girl. My son, 15 years, that's my baby boy. Like, that's how you view them. You know what I mean? So for you to send her back to that place, knowing that she had not dealt with it, knowing probably how much it took for her to even tell you that happened to her. Because she said when she told her mom, she didn't say it, she wrote it out, y'all. She wrote it on a piece of paper. And the mom was upset about it. So how could you say, well, go on over there and see your godmother? Girl, I would have never seen her to their house. Because I don't know if she ain't there and he finna open the door. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Uh-uh. Now, the other thing, this is the other thing. Now, I know it's unwind with Tasha K, but I wouldn't have gave that lady no wine. I wouldn't have gave that lady no wine. I might have had a glass of water there for her today. I probably wouldn't use no wine because, I know it's for the optics and all of that. It's the show. And see, that's why I'm saying social media, it gets you caught up. These are serious topics, y'all. This is serious. These are things that happened to this lady. These are real things that this lady, have experienced. And it just don't seem like she's had documentaries about what has happened to her. You know what I mean? So this ain't no time for no wine. Wine is, could be like a numbing thing. No, we want to, and that's why it's important to have a professional on call or on staff or something like that. Because when you have these people where it's fresh and it seemed like it just happened yesterday, they got to talk to somebody after they talk to you because you're not a licensed professional. You know what I mean? Um, Given it, Tasha K does have, she's done a lot of interviews, but this is therapeutic, like a therapeutic type of um interview per se, and you need some a licensed person to treat it as such and to know what to do to kind of reel everything back in, right? To wrap it up, right? To know when to move to the next topic and to what topic would be appropriate for this time, after this lady is so upset. Because a few times she had to walk out because she was so upset, right? Um, let's see. So she said in middle school, and this is some of the things I think that are common as well. She was in elementary school, everything was fine. She was on honor roll, but when she got to middle school, it is when she said things changed. There was no support. She felt like there was no communication with her mom. She didn't get any validation from her mom. And again, at this point, the mom had to go back to work, and y'all, the mama was a dang on counselor at the orphanage. Girl, I like to fill out my chair. I said that you said, but remember I told y'all, nobody is exempt from none of this stuff. Now, remember I said too, them professions, whatever profession you in, they say that's where your help, the help that you need in some of these professions. How in the world you a counselor at the orphanage for the kids who don't have their parents or the parents that dropped them off or whatever, and you then sent your baby back to this godmama to visit? Girl, something ain't right. Something is not right. Say what you say, but something is not right. And she said the mom would had to work, 12 hours at a time or whatever. So because the dad, had passed or whatever, the mom had to work, we understand that. The mom had to work, she had to pay bills and stuff like that. So she couldn't give as much attention to her kids as like she used to, because she used to be a stay-at-home mom. Right. So that's a totally different vibe. And I'll tell y'all, nowadays things are different with raising kids. You can apply some of this stuff that your grandma said, but some of this stuff you got to let go. Like I remember my son when he was real little, he might have had, like a little eczema or something like that. And it was like getting really bad. And my grandma told me, put some salve on it. Salve ain't gonna do nothing for this. You got to let go of some of that old school stuff, y'all. This is a new day and age. What is salve gonna do? Nothing. They tell you, oh, after you had a baby, don't go outside. You got to stay in the house for 2 weeks, because you might catch a cold and all that. What? No, your butt need to be getting outside every day if the weather permits, getting you some sun and some air, and getting that baby some sun and some air, and y'all gonna be just fine. Like some of this old school stuff, we got to let go with about raising kids, because it doesn't apply to how the environment that the kids nowadays are in. Look at all this extra stuff that they got to deal with. Kids coming saying, one of my colleagues told me her daughter come home and say, "Oh, mom, we talked about code red today, and I think she might be in first, second grade." Girl, when? We ain't never had to talk about no code red in no first grade. Code red? What? But that's the environment that we in. So the ideas and practices that y'all had about raising kids in the 80s, in the 70s, whatever, we gonna have to let some of that go, and we got to get real about the situation. It ain't no, oh, just don't go around such and such. Oh, just don't sit next to such and such. No, get them up out of here, because this is what's happening, right? So yeah, the mom worked at an orphanage. And then so because she needed her mom, who this sound like, y'all? Because they needed their mom, they started acting out in middle school and in high school. This is my opinion about what may have happened to Tim, because he was being raised by the auntie. The mom wasn't there. Maybe she was on the road or whatever. She wasn't there most of the time. And he started getting into trouble, because it's like any attention is good attention. They don't care if it's negative or positive. They want it. Because again, they don't care that you're working. So she said she started acting out because she needed her mom. And that's when she indicated that the mom had her own trauma, and then that her dad had passed away and things like that. And this, I'm telling y'all, this is what happens. A lot of the kids I used to see in home counseling, at that certain point, middle school starting, right? Middle school starting, then they start feeling themselves. They start liking, boys or girls or whatever, and they start acting out. they start having behavior problems. And that is the time where the parent needs to be there the most. And a lot of the conversations, because she said when she saw that on America's Most Wanted, before she even saw that reenactment, she didn't even know that it was wrong. Right. And that was at what, 5 years old? What does that tell us? That tells us now we got to start talking to our kids at a younger age about the stuff that's happening out here. Now, you are going to have to do it in an age appropriate manner because I had another person let me know that her daughter might be in the third grade. But she came home telling her mom about, because see, in the schools, they talk, depending on what school your kids go to, right? They talking about the stuff. They making the kids aware. Like, if this happens, this is what we're gonna do. They are making the kids more believe it or not, really, kids have to be more responsible at a younger age now, right? And be more aware at a younger age. Um, she came home telling her mom, "Well, mom, did you know that it was a SHOOTING in Connecticut?" And the mama said, "It was a while ago, but yeah. So, like, why you telling me this?" And she like, yeah, it was in mom. It was in Connecticut, but they everywhere. She ain't lying. She not lying. So there's an opportunity for you to sit down and start talking to your kids about what's going on in this world. Again, you can do it in an age appropriate way to where they, make it short to where they understand, and kid friendly where they understand, but you don't want to keep things from them because they're not gonna know what to do. They're not gonna know what to do. Or it's going to be they're going to go to somebody else to figure it out. Or if somebody else tell them and they tell them the wrong information, they just going to go by what that person tell them because you ain't told them nothing. So this tells us that we need to start talking to our children at a younger age about what could happen, when it could happen, how it could happen, why it could happen, and what you do if it happens. Right? You got to be we have to start being more open and receptive to having these conversations with our kids. And a lot of times parents are so busy nowadays. It's crazy, right? Because it's like you have to find a balance. And you are busy as a parent, and that's why it's so important to have a two-parent household, because you got to have a team. Marriage is not about or not even marriage, just having a relationship or having a partner, right, is very important, because if you have children, you got a teammate, right? That means if I'm picking one kid up from school, you can pick the other kid up from the other school, right? Depending on the ages. You might have one in daycare, you might have one in high school, right? They get out at the same time. Who gonna pick who up if it's only one parent household? So that's one stressor right there if you a single parent. So we got to start doing better. We got to do better, and do it for the interest of our kids and for ourselves too, and for our community, because this is how we change things. So we could see that Jessica's life changed drastically when her mom became a single mom, right? So yeah, so she started acting out. So we could say at 15, right, middle school, high school, she didn't feel safe. She didn't have nobody to talk to. She couldn't communicate with anybody. She didn't feel validated as a young lady and things like that. Sometimes with single parents, they do the best they can, but again, you need support. But how can you don't even trust other people now to take care of your kids, right? You could think about different programs to put them in. There are programs to kind of help them navigate middle school and how they're feeling at that time and things like that, right? But you just got to be a more involved parent. Be involved as much as you can to know what's going on when your kids come home from school. Don't just have them put their book bag down and they go and play and do whatever, then they eat, then they take their bath, whatever, and then they go to bed. No, we gonna talk about some things. My kids, what I do when they come home, I give me those book bags. I look in them book bags. Let me see what's in this book bag, from what I put in there this morning. Let me see what's in there now. I look through all the folders, make sure I got all the information, right? Then, okay, we're gonna do our homework, all this stuff, right? Then, okay, when we eat dinner, we're gonna eat dinner together. Because when we eat dinner together, what does that mean? That means no tablets, that means no phones, no electronics, and we're gonna start asking some questions, right? I don't care if you got a question of the day. I don't care what it is. You've got to start uh, opening that line of communication, right? And get savvy, with some of these questions. Because sometimes with teenagers, they don't want you, when you ask certain things, they think like you weird or whatever. Because you the parent. They're like, oh, well, mom, why you ask me that? So you got to get a little savvy and be a little hip like them. You know what I'm saying? So, sometimes you might say, with younger kids, my kids are younger, so I asked them, well, what was the best part of your day? Like, what did you do? Um, Tell me all about it. Like, what happened? Oh, you went to art class today? What's your art teacher's name? Are they nice? What was so good about art class? What about your day didn't you like so much? Oh, well, why didn't you like that? Ask different things. What did you guys go to recess today? Did you meet any new friends today? Who did you sit with at lunchtime today? Things like that. So that way you can open the lines of communication. That way, when they do need to tell you something, they okay with talking to you. And then too, when your child tells you something that you are alarmed about, don't freak out. It's like you might be freaking out inside, but if you freak out in front of them, they're going to think that they can't tell you anything, right? So, they tell you something that's alarming. Okay, let's sit down and talk about it. Let's figure out, what we can do, who we can tell. What do you think happened, or what do you think we can do about this? And it may not even be anything that's crazy, right? It could just be something simple that they don't really know how to solve. But it's good that they're coming to their parent to say, well, mom, you know, some, something wasn't really good today. Like, my daughter, she's young, I have young kids. So she might say something like, oh, I lost my beret or something like that. Oh, okay. Where do you think you lost it at? Which color beret was it? Where did you leave it? Okay, well, maybe the next day, tomorrow we can ask your teacher to see if they see it. If not, it's okay. Right. So you've got to, again, keep those lines of communication open with your kids so that they know that they can come to you and talk about anything, and that you are going to be there for them, right? Um, let's see. Oh, so then to the situation, oh Lord, that happened, because I didn't want to get into all of this, just a few things. But the situation that happened the night with Charlotte, right? So she said that when she got into that car with all of them dudes, first of all, this is the part I missed. She said the mama said that he could come pick her up, but maybe the mama didn't know he was in his 20s. The mama said he could come pick her up, but he had to come upstairs and give his license plate number and all this stuff. If you got to do all that, she can't go. She can't go. For what? Because to me, if you trying to get the license plate number, the name of the car, who he with, who came with, or whatever, that means you taking down information to tell the police in case something happened. If you feeling like that, your baby can't go. Because that's your baby girl. She cannot go. And I don't care how mad she get. Baby, you can stump to the heavens. You hear me? You can stump your little butt right on upstairs. But guess what? That's where you're going to be tonight. You're not going with no, I don't care what his name is. He better not come right back over here. But she said, oh yeah, it's okay if you can go, but I gotta get his license plate number. Girl, something ain't right. I just don't know. And she around like like in my generation, and so I would imagine maybe her mom the same age as my, around the same age my mom and dad and stuff like that. But my parents would have never his license plate. Uh-uh. Mm-mm. For what? You're not finna go over there. Who coming to pick you up? We don't know them. Uh-uh. And then the people who came to pick up, she said, was five of them in the car. Five boys? Baby. Mm-mm. How you even know them? My mom would have been asking, how you know them? Uh-uh. You know them from where? They go to your school? Uh-uh. Well, we don't know them. So guess what? And it's too many of them in the car. You won't be going. I don't know them people. Girl, and so when she got in the car, she said a voice told her she this is where the guilt comes in and the shame, right? A voice told her to get out the car and she don't know why she just didn't get out the car. Right. But I think some of that is from her thinking about like, excuse me, that guilt and shame is from like what happened with her god brother too, because she said she told her friend, it's a lot of dudes in the car. Like, you don't think there's a lot of dudes? And the friend like, girl, okay, like it is. So, but maybe something like that never happened to her. So she not really thinking like that. But even though she don't realize it, she automatically thinking like that because what happened to her before. So that's why she like, something told me to get out that car and I don't know why I didn't get out. She can't blame herself for that. She was with her friend. She was going to have fun. Her mama told her she could go. So if my mama said I could go, my mom feel okay with it. I'm good. I'm with my friend, my girl, we're gonna be good. Little did she know, girl, I like she said she is still trying to work on herself. She still have social anxiety. She still have flashbacks. It's hard for her to get out the bed some days. And I think again, it's not only because of that situation, it's everything put together. Because like she said, I mean, I don't know. I would imagine this lady has been to therapy. I mean, I would have to guess. I hope that she has. If not, I really recommend and encourage her to go because she is going to be struggling for a long time because she keep trying to answer the questions, right? And the answers are not there, right? And if you are whatever you didn't get as a child, whether that's affection, uh, whether that's being communicated with, whether that's love, um, whether that's just being cared for as a child by your parents, whatever you didn't get from your parents, you got to know that when you have children, you've got to give it to them. You've got to be aware that that's what you didn't get, and you've got to give it to your kids because if you're not aware of that and be make yourself, force yourself, not force yourself, but ensure that you are providing that to your children, they're not going to get it either, right? Because we always say, oh, my parents did this, I would never do that. Or, oh, when I have kids, I'm gonna make sure, my kids do this. And a lot of times we find ourselves in the same situations. Just like her mom. That happened to her mom. I'm sure her mom probably said, I never let this happen to my daughter. Lo and behold, right? And maybe the mom, again, she dealt with what happened to herself in her own way, and she may not have went to therapy, right? um But she felt like, okay, I made it out okay. I met a nice guy. The way that she explained her family before her dad died seems like they, she remembers good times. And of course, kids don't know everything that's going on with their parents' relationship. You see what I'm saying? So from what she remembers, it was great, right? And so maybe her mom was like, okay, I have a family now. I'm doing good. I'm okay. Right. So then when this happened to her daughter, she thinking, okay, this happened that first time with the god brother, this happened, of course she didn't want that to happen, but she's like, okay, she gonna be all right. She gonna be all right. She'll figure it out because the mom, she didn't have the tools to help her. She didn't have the tools to help her. But what I would say to Jessica is that you cannot blame yourself for what happened to you. That is not your fault, right? Right? You have got to work through what has everything that has happened to you and learn effective coping skills to be able to manage the days that you don't feel so good about it, because it may not ever be a day where you having a good day. They may be few and far between, right? So when the days that you are thinking about it, the days you have the flashbacks, the days you say, why didn't I get out that car? The days that you say, why didn't my mom help me? The days that you say, well, I wonder why me and my friend didn't ever talk about what happened to us, right? Those are the days that you're gonna have to use them coping skills in order for you to get through the day to be a good mom. Get through the day for you to be there for your kids, right? In a way that you felt like your mom wasn't there for you, right? In a way to be productive at work, uh, in a way to socialize on social media. Cause baby, they coming for this girl, you know, cause look who you going up against. People probably don't want to say it, but when it's somebody big like that, baby, they gonna put it's some people that's gonna say, nah, nah, that ain't right. But it's a lot of people that's gonna say, we knew it, we knew it. She ain't lying, she ain't lying. Right? Now, it may be, I don't even know how to say this, y'all. When you look at maybe the culture of where they lived at the time, right? I think that like from the country, things like that, they was having a party. And the things that were most likely, and again, this is just my opinion, the things that were happening at that party were normal things that usually happen at those types of parties, right? But see, that day or that night, I hope my connection, it looks like my connection is messing up. I hope y'all can still see me and hear me, but it looks like that night she attended that party and she was a person who wasn't with it. Cause maybe it might be more people, right? But it's like that's what we do. You know what I mean? We young, we kicking it. We drinking or whatever. We young and we doing stuff we ain't supposed to be doing, but this is what we do. Uh, where we from or whatever. Everybody down with it, okay? But that particular person wasn't down, right? And y'all forgot to realize that while y'all was kicking it, that it might be some people who ain't with the ish, okay? So and just like in the car, her friend said, yes, five dudes were okay. Like, we finna go to the party, girl. You know what I mean? But again, you got some people that this ain't like, again, this happened to her. Something happened to her before, right? So she already on alert. You know what I'm saying? Like she already like, oh, like why so many people, whatever, why so many dudes or whatever, right? But this might have been a normal thing for them. Like she said, oh, she thought it was a birthday party. Girl, this wasn't no birthday party. What? She wasn't no cake. It wasn't no ice cream. Mm-mm. They was having like a what they call it, a kickback. Is that what it is? I think it's called a kickback, but it wasn't called that then. But I think that's kind of like what they call it now, like a kickback. But they was kicking it, drinking, probably smoking, uh, you know, and thought they had somebody that was down allegedly, and that wasn't the case. So now years later, you see, years later, now you got to look at all this, that one night, the decisions that were made that one night. Look at what this all started. That decision that was made this one night. Look at what that started. Look at all of this that started. And that's something, right? That's why it's so important you make good decisions, right? You got to think about, and you might not make good decisions all the time. It's some things, some lessons that are going to be learned, and sometimes it's a hard lesson, baby. Sometimes it's a hard lesson. It's a hard lesson. And so I think that from her story, everybody can learn something, from her story. I think as parents, we can learn that we got to start talking to our kids. We got to keep the lines of communication open, so we know what's going on with them. We have to be open and receptive to having conversations with our kids at a younger age, and open and receptive to having uncomfortable conversations, right? And I think it's part of being a parent. Like I said before, what grandma and them used to do, we gotta let some of that go. We gotta get up with the times, and we have to adapt to the environment that our kids are in now, right? Because they go through a lot, and we have to make sure that we are versed as parents in knowing how to handle or help them cope with what is going on. We can also learn, from Jessica too, that it's that when sometimes things may not happen to you, they happen for you. And it might sound weird in saying that in this certain situation, right? But you can't, when things happen to you that are not good, right? You are not, it's not going to help you that you continue to question yourself or blame yourself, or be shameful about what happened. you know Things like this happen to a lot of people, and that's why I'm so glad that she was able to even have an interview and comfortable enough to talk about what happened, because it's still a lot of people who are not comfortable, who are not empowered, who are not inspired to say, what happened to me too. This is how I dealt with it. Now she may have people to come to her to support her to say, look, Jessica, this happened to me too, but this is not going to be easy, but this is how I dealt with it. Or this is a support group that you can contact. Here's an online resource or a virtual group. They have support groups virtually now. You don't have to do it face to face. And when you go to a support group, you don't even have to say a word. You don't have to share your story. You don't have to say what your name is or anything like that. You can just go and listen, and take whatever tidbits or good things that you get from the meeting. Take them with you, to help you through your day. But you do not have to share. So there are virtual support groups for things like this. Literally for everything is a virtual support group. So let me know if you guys need that information about how to find support groups. Shoot, it's support groups from grief and loss to eating disorders, to weight loss support groups, divorce support group, all kind of things, right? And they are, confidential groups. So maybe she can gain a support system from sharing her story and people kind of sharing with her what they did to get through it, and how she can get through it too. So kudos to Jessica. I'm praying that she gets healing from, all the things that have, happened to her in her life. And I hope she learns effective coping skills to get through them. And I hope that she is seeing a therapist to be able to close, you know, that box of her kind of opening everything back up and kind of reliving all of this that happened. Some people say that it's therapeutic to talk about different things, to talk about what happened to you and things like that. And sometimes it is for some people, right? But it's still reliving that situation. And sometimes you're not prepared for how you're going to feel after you speak about it, right? It might lead you down to a depressive state, right? It might lead you to be a little bit more anxious than you were before, because it's like, okay, I was comfortable with sharing, I shared, but now what happens? What's going to happen? What kind of feedback am I going to get? Right? Are people going to be accepting of what I shared? Or are they going to judge me for what I shared? Um, you know, and this is your story. So, but nevertheless, you're thinking about, okay, well, how are people going to receive my story? This is I think the third time that she has kind of talked about what happened, not to this extent. I think in this interview she shared a little bit more about her personal life and her family and things like that, but this is the third time, right? So, what are people going to think? I'm sure she probably has had those thoughts if she's not having them now, right? So, I hope that she, is prepared and has a support system in place for that. So, that's all I got, guys. It's getting late. I'm going to get up out of here. I hope everybody learned something from her story, and hope that what we learn, that we make those changes in our lives as parents, as a community, to ensure that our kids, we to let them know that we got their back, with whatever happens. So hope this live was helpful for you all. Let me know in the comments on the replay, if you're watching the replay, what additional topics you all want me to talk about on this channel. Let me know if this was helpful for you. And I appreciate you all for watching. If you feel so inclined and you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. What are you waiting for? This channel is all about mental health. This is where you can get all your questions answered. And if you are a person who's thinking about, reaching the next level in your career, I am the person for you. All of my information will be in the description box. And until the next time, I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.